Welcome back to Live from 510 and week 3 of Spooktacular Halloween. We have some very exciting projects to share with you, don't we, Binky? What's that, Binky? I'm sure everyone noticed that you look very different, don't you, folks? Welcome back, it's Alicia, and I'm so excited to be here with you again this week. Thanks for spending some more time with me. I'm very happy to start off with our first project, and I was excited to see that in week 1 lots of people were doing altered bottles and altered glass. I have to tell you, this is my first attempt at doing anything related to glass, altering glass, distressing glass, but it was a lot of fun. And what's nice about this project, for those of you who are novices, very much like this was my first ever, this took me one evening only. One evening. And it would have been much faster had I been more practiced at using materials related to glass making and glass altering and distressing. But still, it was accomplished in one evening, which I thought was fantastic. I bought the jar at the dollar store. I paid $1 for it. I immediately saw it and I knew what I wanted to make. So what I did was I went searching for how to figure out how to make this top be a hat. And what I ended up finding were these little styrofoam pyramids. So I knew right away what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And so what I did was I painted the styrofoam first, then I gold leafed it, as you can see. The gold leafing is actually what took most of the time. I really wanted texture on the styrofoam, and if I had just painted it, it would have been flat and matte, and I wanted like a metallic, and I really wanted it to have a lot of texture, so I went with gold leafing. Turns out that gold leafing something this shape is not an easy task, and so it took quite a bit of my time in order to get it done, but I really do like the texture and I'm really happy with the effect. Then I distressed up a paper flower, actually 2 paper flowers, and after that I gilded, as you can see, I gilded their centers. I just took a foam flower and I stained it using my Ranger ink. I added a feather and then I distressed it and shredded it a little. To the top I distressed a flower that was white. It was a bright white acrylic flower, and now as you can see it's black and gold. And I attached on the top a pearl and then attached a link to another pearl, so she has it. The witch's hat has a little dangle from it, and around the base I have a skull trim. And the bottom is a rosette that I made out of a very similar tool to the one I'm wearing, only in orange. And how I achieved this effect was, on the jar, is first I painted it black using special paint geared for glass. After that I used a gilding spray. Not one that I made like usual, but one I purchased that's meant for glass. But I loved the effect. You can see that in some light it looks black and in some light it looks gold, and that was what I wanted. That sort of worn, brassy, dirty, brassy look. But it wasn't as bright in some spots as I wanted on here. I wanted it to have that sort of shaded look. So I went back over it again and made sure that I enhanced those details. And that is our witch's jar. Altered witch's jar. What's really nice about this is you can put a tea light in it and it glows and it's super pretty. And I'm thinking, considering this takes one night to make, and if you got more proficient it would be much faster, this would make a really good hostess gift. You know, you could bring this over if you're going to someone's house for dinner. It would be such a great gift to give somebody. And if you didn't want to put a candle in it, you could put treats in it. It would be really terrific. So that's the jar. That's project number 1. The second project is for kids. Kids under the age of 6. Actually between 4 and 6 years old, and I designed it because I ordered for my girlfriend's children the special Hello Kitty Halloween. And this is the witch, this is the vampire, this is the Frankenstein. There is, where's the mummy? The skeleton is so cute. I'll take it out so you can see it. The skeleton is just so cute. So cute, guys. This is the skeleton. And so I wanted to build a little house for these guys. And there's the mummy. This is what inspired my outfit today. Hello Kitty mummy. So at first I was going to want to build a wooden house for it, but then I realized that they're going to need somewhere to keep these little guys so they don't end up in a plastic bin with all the other little guys. So I built a curio cabinet. Now please keep in mind, if I were building this for an adult or for a Happy Meal swap or for a rack, it would be much more judicious, not so busy. But I really wanted this to be fun because it's for kids ages 4 to 6. I used the Echo Park paper pad that is double-sided. I will say that this has a ton of red in it. The reason I bought this pad, I only have 2 sheets left, but was for this sheet of paper. I loved this sheet of paper, but what I didn't realize is just how much red is in this paper pad. If you take a look, this is all red, this is mostly red, this has a lot of red in it, this is mostly red. The challenge with that is that most Halloween things are orange, purple, or black. And there's some gold too for the candy corn. There's no red, folks. So my only word of caution to you is there is tons of red in this pad, and that may be difficult for you to coordinate with other pads. The upside is it has this amazing vintage feel. I got this small paper pad, the 6x6, which you can see I've used all of. And I got a couple of sheets of the cut-aparts, and the cut-aparts are phenomenal, and they have this wonderful vintage aesthetic, as you'll see next week. But for this week, I used the small cut-aparts that came with the pad, and I thought that was nice that they came with this, to create this Hello Kitty Curio cabinet. Now, so I used Echo Park paper in each of the spots, and it's going to be hard to tell on my camera, but you see this? That is black and red eyelash trim that I wrapped around each of these boxes except for the center ones. And the reason for that is when I tested it, it took away too much from this. I painted and distressed this. So first I painted it gold, then I did gold glittering, as you can see, so it sparkles in light, but it's subtle glittering. And then I distressed it. On the front, I did not glitter, but I did paint it gold, and then I really distressed it heavily. Not like on the back where it's lightly, it's heavily distressed. I built a thick tulle bow and attached a skeleton jemmy. Over here I built a witch's broom using this amazing black and white baker's twine. And then I attached a die cut of a spider web sent to me by Orlando Tessone. Thank you, Orlando. I took a spider and I gilded it up, and he's crawling over the word eek, eek, which came from my friend Dina, this Mama Loves Disney, the same one who inspired me to make the witch's jar. And then over here, there's a small little jar. There is a skeleton wearing a fascinator. I built out of a foam flower and some orange tulle. And in the eyes are some orange jemmies, so it looks like they're glowing. Over here, I have a die cut of a tree, which in light casts this amazing shadow on the back. And that shadow, that box is of kids trick-or-treating in a camper. Over here, it just says, eat, drink, and be scary. In that box, and over here it says trick or treat, and obviously I've laid down some lace that I've distressed and I've stained. Over top that I've put I want candy, which was a piece of ephemera. So was this and this that Carrie Martin sent me. Thank you so much, Carrie. I love these. And these three pieces are the only pieces not Echo Park. These are from K&Co from last year's collection. But I love them. I love this guy so much. So much. And he was holding just a regular, like, light purple lollipop, but I changed it. So he is now holding a rosette wand with a flatback that says trick or treat. And he has a little bow in his hand. And then down below is the witch's floor, and you can see it's a witch print. And I also built a 3D witch out of chipboard from the ephemera. Actually, from a cut apart that I took from the paper pad. Built it up, made it into chipboard, and now it's standing forward, so this is very dimensional in person. Sorry about my hands, I still have a lot of stain on them from a different project. Over here I have cotton batten that I've created to give a ghostly-like effect, and there's a sword sticking out of it. And last but not least, this last one says, say boo and scare on. And that is my curio cabinet for the spooky Hello Kitty collection. And what's really nice is that there's a spot for each character in here. I hope I don't tilt this so you can see. So it's so cute. So the kids can decide where they put it, and they can play around with it, but there's always a home for these little guys. So that is the Echo Park Curio Cabinet for kids. And my last project is so very different from any of these. It is mostly Echo Park, but the outer piece was built using Martha Stewart paper. And that's only because I didn't have, the only Echo Park I had was a 6x6, and this required a larger sheet of paper. And yes, I could have made it smaller, but I wanted a big one, and you're going to see why. This particular piece was inspired by Tamika Scrap-to-World because she had done a tutorial on these little brag books that she was thinking of sending to friends. Very simple. In fact, I copied her design, I just enlarged it on the interior. And she made these brag books, and she put in some nice to make space for pictures inside and a little note to her friends, which I thought was really cute. So I used that idea, and what I did was I built something larger. I didn't have a die here that matched this. at all. This kind of like rough, jagged. I have one for tags, but not for books and not for anything this size, so I just free cut it. I did notice that while I like a lot of things about the Martha Stewart paper pad, this one, when it creases, you lose the color of the pad, which I don't love. It's a wonderful density of the paper, but the printing I have some challenges with. So to make that work, I distressed all of the edges. So now I want that white showing, and I want it to be all thready. So I did that everywhere. They're all distressed, which is great. And on the front, what I did was I took a piece of the collection and I water distressed it, crunched it, uncrunched it, built it back up, did it again, sprayed it with purple spray paint that I developed, and you can only see that in incredible detail when you get really close up. Over that piece of distressed paper, which I also tore and shredded in places that you'll see when we open it, I also layered over thin tulle. Then I built an orange rosette, attached a bat to the center. This is a build-up accordion from the paper collection, and there's a little acrylic spider. What is different about my piece from Tamika's is she didn't build an enclosure, or she suggested using a ribbon. This has a magnet enclosure. This is magnetized. So I decided to do that just because I didn't want to use it as a brag book. I wanted to have it be a note card enclosure. Because lately, 3x3 note cards are really, really popular. So I wanted to be able to send some. So I built this to send 3x3 note cards from the Echo Park paper collection. Let me take you through it very quickly. Oops, I am just dropping things tonight. So I did thick this up. So it's going to stand the test of time. It's really thick. It's well constructed. It's not going to fall apart. The back just says Witchcrafted, and that's it. Hear that nice clasp that you hear when you magnetize? There we go. And it's that simple. This took me an hour to build. I'm a very slow maker. I suspect the people who are very proficient could do this in maybe 45 minutes. So this is an after work project. This is a great project for Happy Meal. It's a great project to send to pen pal. It's a great project to send to people in your family if you want to send them little Halloween cards. This surprisingly holds all 3 of the 3x3s, which I love. All right, so the first one looks like this. It's my favorite piece from the collection, and my favorite paper from the collection. I chose not to round the corners. I liked it better not rounded, but you can round the corners. And instead of just cutting apart from the paper pad, I built it up on chipboard so it's dimensional. And that's the first one. The second one looks like this. It says All Hallows Eve. They're all distress stained on the sides. And again, just very simple little note card enclosure. That's what it looks like inside. And then last but not least, this is the third one, which is, at first when I saw this, I thought the person was throwing up. And then I realized, no, they're bobbing for apples. They're bobbing for apples. And there is this one. And so all 3 of these note cards from Echo Park fit into the enclosure. So it's a really cute way to send 3x3 note cards. So I'm curious to find out which of the 3 is your favorite out of these so far. The note card enclosure that only takes an hour to build. I should close it when I show it to you. Takes an hour to build. The Shabby Witch's jar that could also be a candle holder. Or the kids' Curio cabinet. And that is it for this week. Thank you so much for spending time with me and taking a look at my projects. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I will answer them. And again, thank you to Crafty Michelle for inviting me to be part of this. I have learned so much and I've enjoyed making each and every item. Next week I'll be back with more Echo Park and perhaps another paper collection. Until then, have a fabulous week, and please don't forget to check out everyone on this collaboration. There are such talented makers. I was wowed by last week's project. Totally wowed by last week's projects. So you don't want to miss anyone. This is a fantastic team. Thanks so much again for watching. See you next week, folks. Bye for now.